Whatever we once were, we are no longer a Christian nation, at least not just. We are also a Jewish nation, and a Muslim nation, and a Buddhist nation, and a Hindu nation, and a nation of non-believers. And even if we did have only Christians in our midst, if we expelled every non-Christian from the United States of America, whose Christianity would we teach in the schools? Would it be James Dobson's or Al Sharps's? Which passages of Scripture should guide our public policy? Should we go with Leviticus, which suggests slavery is okay, and that eating shellfish is an abomination? Or we could go with Deuteronomy, which suggests stoning your child if he strays from the faith? Or should we just stick to the Sermon on the Mount, a passage that is so radical that it's doubtful that our own Defense Department would survive its application?
What's up, everybody? Brother Christopher once again with the heads, not the tails. Before we begin, I want to tell you about a dream that I had when I was a kid. When I say kid, I was probably like 8 or 9 years old. How it started off, seemed like there was some type of war going on in the country. I was being ushered by these soldiers, these men that put me in a vehicle and they transported me to this place. It was like a giant tent that they had took me to. When I arrived at the tent, these soldier guards had brought me into this big tent. And when I walked into the tent, I could clearly remember that it was like a harem. It had all this plush furniture all around, big embroidered pillows and just all this luxurious stuff was around inside this tent. I was brought before a man, kind of a young looking man, that was dressed in Arabian Prince style outfit. And he was sitting on this big plushed out chair like throne. And the guards brought me all the way into this tent. And the man sitting in the chair tells me, "Have a seat." I sat down on this couch. And I remember this Arabian Prince looking dude was being very, very nice to me. You know, he was very welcoming. "Oh, have a seat." And I remember he asked me, do I want a drink? Or, he was just being very polite to me. He kind of flat out asked me, will I join him in his reign or something like that. I remember he wanted me to join him. The man asked me would I join him, and then I can almost clearly say this man told me if I wanted to join his army or whatever it was, his organization, his army, he told me I had to denounce God. And he probably said Jesus. It's so long ago that I had this dream. It's very hard to pinpoint exactly what he said, but I remember the visuals clearly. But I know he asked me to join, if I would join him and if I would denounce God. And then I could join him if I did that. But I could remember clearly in this dream, like my soul told me that this man was bad and not to do it. And I thought about the things my friend used to say, and I identified this guy as like the devil. You know, I didn't call him the Antichrist back then. I just remembered him as the devil. And when he asked me would I join him and would I denounce God, I remember I told him no. And I could still remember the look on this guy's face. He went from very, very polite to very, very angry, almost turning demonic on me right before my eyes. And I remember he told the guards, "Get him out of here." And like these guards snatched me up so hard and so fast, it really rattled me, and they dragged me out of this tent. And like I remember I woke up right out of my sleep. I woke up right out of my dream as soon as they rushed me out of the tent. Now let me tell you something about this dream here. You know, I couldn't really remember for many years what this guy looked like. And one day, and this is kind of recent within the last few years, I would say, I was going through some pictures of Obama, and I came across these pictures of Obama in Arabian attire, and some pictures were of Muslim attire. And I'm telling you that the man that I saw in that dream so many years ago was Obama. And this is probably the only dream I've ever had that I've ever shared with anybody where I actually said, you know, this man was Obama. And I'm telling you, this guy that was in this tent looked just like Obama, dressed up in an Arabian prince outfit decked with gold and jewels, and he had a turban on though. He had a turban on. But I'm telling you, it was Obama in those pictures. And with all this stuff going on with Obama, and you know, it just kind of brought up a few things that I want to share with you here. And what I want to do is I want to take us back a little bit, a few years, back to the Denver airport conspiracy. But now I want to point out some other things that I see going on. So bear with me and stay tuned. The first thing I want you to observe is these tent-like structures at the Denver airport. I'm not saying these look like the tent that I went in my vision. I'm just saying I'm about to walk you through some different parallels and things that relate to my visions and dreams versus the Denver airport.
It seems these days that almost anything can become the topic of conspiracy theories, and that includes one of America's major airports. Opened in 1995, Denver International has long been the subject of wild speculation. Well, when the airport began a major renovation project, they decided it was a chance to play along. Barry Peterson has that story.
Flying saucers have invaded our planet. Washington, London, Paris.
If the saucers ever do come, may we suggest another landing zone, Denver's airport, where some say the welcome signs are already up for gargoyles. And are they really making a new home for the lizard people? as workers remodel the main terminal. And why is this guy, well, this thing, shushing us?
It's all out of focus and weird.
Well, one may say these are the type of visitors that we have underground in our facility.
Stacy Stegman is the airport spokesperson.
What's really going on?
What's really going on is we are revitalizing our terminal, improving security, creating additional capacity so that we can serve our passengers into the future.
Okay, that's boring. This is a lot more fun. Just for the record.
Exactly.
They even post on social media when aliens roam the airport. Since it opened in 1995, America's fifth busiest airport has swirled with conspiracy theories. How the runways make a swastika. How the blue Mustang statue earned the nickname Blucifer after it fell over and killed the artist. And then the murals. Some show peaceful times, some show apocalypse. If art is in the eye of the beholder, conspiracy investigative journalist Jay Widener beholds doom.
City underwater, flaming forests. This is scary stuff.
It's telling people in the know what this airport is all about.
This theory says baggage handlers share basement space with a secret underground railroad to bunkers in the Rocky Mountains, where top government officials will survive nuclear war.
I heard that it's maglev. The whole thing is
Magnetic levitation.
Magnetic levitation.
And as the airport has some chuckles with conspiracy, there is the cat in the hat. Poor thing.
I'm sorry, but this is a cat with a tin hat. Like, is that the imagery that Denver wants to project? Zombie cat lairs.
Would you really believe this?
Well, people do.
Do you?
I'm not going to comment on that.
So the next time an extraterrestrial needs a lift home, we now know the perfect airport to jump that flight. For CBS This Morning, Saturday, Barry Peterson, Denver.
I love that the Denver airport has a sense of humor about itself.
They certainly do.
Can't get that image now of the cat out.
But who is in charge of all the weird nuances at this airport? The general consensus is that it is the New World Order. But who are the New World Order? Well, they are an elite group of individuals that include many of the world's wealthiest people, such as well-known political leaders and those related to the British Crown. But their main goal is to create one united world government that has no regional boundaries. But this would only be possible in one way, and that is to commit a mass genocide and narrow down the world's population to 2 billion people. Their reasoning for this thought is because there would be more control.
So far, the NHS has coped with COVID-19, but there is still no vaccine, and there are fears that unless we prepare now, a second wave in the winter could be even worse. At this GP surgery in South London, they're now trying to clear the backlog of routine appointments that were put on hold. But doctors here are worried about the winter.
As much as you do and as much as you prevent, you are still going to be in a situation this winter coming that you are in the post-COVID winter, and it's still going to be a big strain on staff, especially staff that have already been working, above and beyond what they normally would work in the NHS. They're already tired, and having a second wave is really going to put pressure on them.
Today's report says in order to prepare for a new wave of infections, there must be adequate PPE and COVID-free zones in hospitals and care homes, increased capacity of test and trace, flu vaccines for healthcare workers and those at risk, and a public information campaign for all.
We're heading, I'm afraid, for a perfect storm unless something dramatic changes in being prepared for this. We've got influenza, which obviously comes in the winter months. We've got cold weather, which makes the coronavirus live longer. Add to that the NHS build-up of chronic and surgical cases that we've been accumulating these last 4 months, and we've got a real problem on our hands.
Author Jan Cavell has a lung condition, which means she's still shielding at home. Another spike in COVID cases means that will continue.
It's really tough. It's never ending, you know. I mean, speaking to people in the pharma industry, you know, there is no light in sight, really. You know, vaccinations usually take 10 years. You know, is that going to be the rest of my life? That's a scary thought.
Scientists say if there is a second wave, there could be up to 120,000 deaths this winter.
There is a plate on the floor that shows the symbols AUAG. Some may say that this is related to gold and silver. However, one of the sponsors of the airport discovered a new deadly strain of hepatitis known as Australian antigen, and this is also symbolized by AUAG. What is scary is that this symbol is located right in front of a mural on a wall that is about genocide. But let's talk more about the murals in Denver Airport. The murals located in the airport are the most notable features of this airport. The main mural stretches over 4 walls and was painted by Chicano artist Leo Tanguma, who was in fact Mayan. The first mural here shows 3 dead women, an African, a Native American, and a young Jewish girl. In the background, we can see the destruction of a city and a forest.
The forest. This is the Paradise campfire in California that destroyed a whole city, in which my dad happened to live in, and his house burned down, and he and his wife had escaped with their lives. But there is no coincidence when it comes to these forest fires that you're seeing everywhere. And I'm telling you right now, they're burning down all the forest all around the world, so that when that time comes, when they force the mark of the beast, there'll be very little forest to run and hide in. And you know, they're burning forest in very strategic locations, like forests that are on top of mountains and hills, like Paradise, California. You know, they say that you have a strategic battleground when you're up on a hill, you know, because enemies are trying to get up the hill while it's easier to shoot down the hill and you can see everybody that's coming. So very strategically they're taking out all these forests, and they're doing a good job at it. Recently in Las Vegas, just like a couple weeks ago, there was a big fire out in the mountains out here, and it burned down many acres. But just don't think that it's any coincidence that these fires are taking place. They know exactly what they're doing when it comes to this mark of the beast that is really coming upon us fast, folks. So keep your eyes open. You know, you might want to think of other places to hide other than in the middle of a forest, if that's what your goal was, ever they come to force the mark of the beast on us. Because there's not going to be very much forest left to hide in. So the remaining forests that are left, they already have control of, you know what I mean? I just want to point that out. And everything that is happening right now is a result of the New World Order. I did this video a while back about Hillary's little campaign to empower women, and she did a big women's march, and you know, they started protesting same time when Black Lives Matter came out. But they had these 3 women on a Twitter post to Hillary, and they match exactly with the three women in the Denver airport mural, as you see here.
This attempts to show the destruction of the world. Another notable part of this mural is the fact that there is a little girl carrying a Mayan tablet. This alludes to the Mayan date of December 21st, 2012. This is when the Mayans predict that the world is going to go through a rebirth phase. The main emphasis of this mural, once again, is the destruction of the world and the preservation of some life. The second mural shows a huge military figure wearing a gas mask and holding a machine gun and a sword. This sword is stabbing a dove, which is the symbol for peace, and implies that peace will be destroyed. There are grayish waves emanating from the figure, and these waves represent death, or in this case, a poisonous gas that has killed everyone in its path. This mural is the one with the AUAG symbol, the one that is related to the deadly virus strain. One can also see a line of weeping women holding their dead infants, and a group of dead children on a pile of bricks. The emphasis of this mural is of a cleansing that is going to kill a myriad of people in its path. However, interestingly enough, this mural has been painted over. The third mural shows all of the children of the world taking their weapons from each country and giving them to a German boy, who is then molding them into something else.
It's also no coincidence, folks, that in front of the UN building, there is a memorial there with this guy beating a sword into something else. Same thing as you see in the Denver airport mural. A guy beating their swords into plowshares, and that's what it says underneath on the plaque. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. And this quote comes from Isaiah, but there's a lot more to it than what they're trying to use it for. So this is all a big deception, folks.
All the children of this scene are of different ethnicity, and all seem to be relieved. The gas mask man in the previous mural is seen dead, and there are two doves perched on his body. The main emphasis of this mural is to show the return of peace after all the killings have taken place, and that there will be no more need for weapons in this perfect world. The final mural has a Jesus-like figure in the middle, who is holding a plant which symbolizes rebirth. All of the people are running towards this man with happy expressions.
No doubt about it, folks. This is the agenda. To bring in the New World Order, to usher in the Antichrist, one world religion, and what I want you to notice is all the different colors that are used in this mural. They match almost perfectly with these things that are around Nancy Pelosi and them's necks while they were bowing down to the Antichrist God. This really has nothing to do with George Floyd. So just check them out and just, put two and two together.
Members wish.
Amadou Diallo.
Sean Bell. Jordan Davis. Freddie Gray.
Alphon Taylor.
I'm totally against police brutality, police killing everybody, mostly black folks. I'm against all that. I hate them seeing them kill my brothers and sisters like this, Even I was really angry when I saw that video. But the agenda is deeper than what we're seeing on the outside.
You see how long it was to have that knee in his neck.
animals are freely roaming, and everything seems to be in perfect harmony. This final mural alludes to a new Garden of Eden, where the world is perfect size, and everything could work together in peace after the genocide that has taken place. All in all, these murals, when put together, represent the formation of a new world filled with fewer people, and this is also the goal of the New World Order, which has been seen represented throughout various parts of the airport.
That's a little too close for comfort, lady.
Oh, damn.
What, you never seen a talking gargoyle before? Welcome to Illuminati headquarters. I mean, Denver International Airport.
Symbology of the airport can still be debated, but one thing that cannot be questioned is the fact that there has been a lot of mysterious construction work underneath Denver Airport. When first constructing the airport, there were originally 5 buildings, but out of the blue, the builders were ordered to bury the buildings underground because they were supposedly built wrong. Normally, a building that is built wrong would be demolished, but in this case it was not. This allowed for an underground base to be created, but there are still workers who are sent to work in these underground bases periodically. But when they are questioned about the nature of their work, they all refuse to comment. These underground bases have been going under more construction and now have underground tunnels that connect all the buildings together. According to a contractor, these tunnels have a strange sprinkler system that was added onto the roofs of the tunnel. But this sprinkler system has no valid use, as these tunnels are concrete and underground. If relating these sprinkler systems back to the sign of AUAG in front of the mural regarding genocide, then one must begin to wonder what the use of a sprinkler in a concrete tunnel 150 feet below the ground would be. These underground bases appear to be holding rooms due to the sheer mass and size, and some say that they even allude to concentration camps. This is because 1. These holding rooms have no purpose.
I had a vision when I was a kid, and this vision happened within like 30 minutes. I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I laid down and opened my eyes and was in a room full of people, especially my family members. We were all in a room, and I remember something started to spray on us. Kind of reminded me of Blade with Wesley Snipes. They started spraying something on us, and I remember very clearly that my mother was in the room with me, and that's what made it all the scarier. That's what made me want to forget about this vision. But we were in this concrete holding cell with a bunch of people, and they started to spray us with something coming out of sprinklers in the ceilings. And as we sat there and got sprayed, I remember sitting there and crying with my mom, and we were sitting there crying and looking at each other, and once we started getting sprayed, a few minutes later, everybody's eyes turned black. And everybody started to get angry and lose their minds. And everyone's eyeballs just turned totally black, and everyone's jaws started to gnaw, like as if it were an involuntary muscle just to bite. And I remember looking at my mom, and her eyes turned black. This vision or nightmare scared me so bad, but I remember everyone's eyes turned black and everyone started to eat each other. I remember feeling anger, just a whole lot of anger. And my eyes probably, I know they were black as well. And my mom started to gnaw on me and I started to gnaw on her. You know, this is one of those visions that you don't really want to think about and you don't want to remember it. But I remember, and all these years I put it on the back burner. I haven't made a video about it. I was scared to talk about it. But now that I look and I see what's going on in the world concerning FEMA camps and concentration camps and crazy science experiments, CERN, HARP, all these things are leading up to one thing that the Bible says, that in the last days perilous times shall come, and in the last days we're gonna see things that we have never seen in the history of the world before. Crazy things are gonna start happening and manifesting. The evidence of these things are all around us. And my vision really caught my attention when I watched this video called The Denver Airport Conspiracy. Saints, we're dealing with a wicked counselor, spiritual wickedness in high places, and he's coming to deceive us all. Don't go into the bomb shelters when they start saying that Korea is gonna drop nukes on us. Run as fast as you can and stay away from any military. Now, this vision also correlates with the Four Horsemen vision on my channel. If you haven't watched it, check that out too. All this blends together, folks, along with all the other visions and dreams and videos I've been watching. God is speaking to us through his people. Remember, you're the heads, not the tails. If God could use me, he could use you too. That's my dog back there, China. As soon as they rushed me out of the tent, as soon as they rushed me out of the China, as soon as they rushed me out of the tent, as soon